Pierogi with sweet cheese filling. My total childhood favorite when I was growing up in Poland, and my mom would make them all the time. We always had a lot of cheese growing up on the farm. So yes, National Pierogi Day, October 8th. Get ready. And thank you so much for joining me again. Welcome to Beast Cooking with Love channel. And there will be more pierogis. So just keep subscribing to my channel and don't miss them. We have made quite a few pierogis lately, counting the ones that I made with my daughters during my visit and with my grandbabies that enjoy them very much, and the ones that it's eating them, it's also showing them all over her face. Those are the ones with the cheese. Yes, we've been making the potato and cheese pierogi. Like I said, subscribe to my channel. I'll add the links for those at the end of this video as well, so stay till the end. We also made the sauerkraut with meat, but there is more to the pierogis, so I might take a little break, but I will be putting out a little bit more pierogis. We got a little bit creative here, as you can tell. You can really have a lot of fun with it. I will not be doing the video in here showing how to make the dough. In my both videos that I did the pierogis in, I gave you quite long tutorial on it. I didn't want to repeat myself here. So go to those and find out how to make the dough either by hand on the surface or in some kind of mixer. So yes, let's cook. You can make them totally with cheese. It's up to you. I'll walk you through a couple different versions here. You can use grits to save a little bit on amount of cheese that you are using, or I'm going for the very popular ingredient in Europe, which is kasha. You also maybe know that as a buckwheat. It is not a grain, so it's way healthier. It has a lot of protein. It is very good for you. It's really a seed, and it has a nutty flavor if you're not familiar with it. But if you don't want to use that, no problem. Go for the grits and I'll walk you through it. I'm using here 1 cup of cream cheese. But this is something more accessible. That's why I decided to do it with cream cheese, to show you that it is possible to have it done. However, my mom would always make that with farmer cheese. It is a little bit less watery, maybe. It's a little bit harder. You would be using about, normally the packages are 7.5 ounces. So if you're using grits or kasha, you can get away with 1 package. But if you don't and you're using only cheese, I would recommend at least to double that recipe. If you live in the area where Publix is available, that is something you will find in Publix, I know that. So that's for your information. Cream cheese I used here, and you want to bring that cheese a little bit to the room temperature. It's easier to work with. I am cooking the kasha, buckwheat of course, so I have 1.5 cups of water in here. If you are using grits, go for 2 cups, because I'm using slightly different measurements for each. They call for different measurements of water. So yes, you're just cooking it just like rice. I have 3/4 cup of kasha, or you would be using about 1/2 cup of grits, and you can use that even cook it in milk too as well. So we're just using that with water, nothing else added. Ignore the ingredients that they are telling you, because you can use this as a rice even in your home cooking. So the packaging, it's walking you through that stuff. And again, this has a different flavor. Grits has less flavor. The cheese will be more vivid there. So again, I highly recommend using just even grits. But if you want to have something a little bit maybe healthier, if there is such a thing with all that cheese we are eating, I went for the buckwheat. Going back to the cheese, you see, our cows, they were growing on the farm and they were eating grass. I laugh when I hear grass-fed cows. I couldn't imagine cows could eat anything else. So yes, we are cooking our grits or the buckwheat until the water is absorbed. Lower the heat then, and you want to definitely cool it off. Let it stand to get nice and soft and fluffy, and cool it off, because adding it to the cheese, it will interfere with the consistency. So yes, this is 1 cup of cream cheese. If you are using farmer's cheese, I would maybe even highly recommend, if you can find it, it will be the filling will be easier to handle. However, the farmer's cheese, you have to put it through either a ricer or maybe like a meat grinder, because you see, cream cheese, it's creamier than a farmer's cheese, so I didn't have to do that step. And I'm just waiting for my buckwheat to cool off, because you want to make sure it's nice and cold. If the filling it's even too soft for you, you can put it in the refrigerator once you mix it all ingredients together. I'm only using the yolk. I am not using the egg white here. We are adding that to the cheese. If you are doing this only from cheese, you can even go for a couple egg yolks to make the filling. It's more of a like a cheesecake flavor, I would want to say. So we are adding sugar to it, and again, like I told you here, farmer's cheese, you want to make sure it's nice and fluffier and easier and creamier to work with. That's why I'm recommending that grinder or ricer. I only added a couple tablespoons of sugar. You can add 3 if you want a little bit sweeter. I don't have to have them that sweet. They are good for me as it is. And I also added about a half a teaspoon of vanilla to the cheese. And we will use just a regular hand mixer to get this nice and creamy and bounded together with these ingredients so far, without adding the grits and buckwheat. So like I said, just mix them all together, and it is easier if the cheese gets a little bit of that room temperature. With the regular farmer's cheese, this will be easier once it's gets through, like I said, that ricer or some kind of my mom would use always meat grinder, because we had so much cheese, we would put so much cheese in them that it was a big amount to deal with. And like I said, I'm making that cheese go a little bit leaner here. You don't have to. If you want to indulge in all that farmer's cheese, I highly recommend it. That's how we would make them. So forget the kashas and forget grits and go for all the cheese. But once my buckwheat is cooled off, or your grits if you are using that, I'm just adding it to my cheese, and of course we'll mix those ingredients together. But I also added something else here different. If you like one more spice here, I love it. You don't have to. Again, maybe this is something unusual for you, but we always did. It was something that we grew in our little garden to have it always handy. And I'm adding here a little bit of dry mint. I don't know, for me it's just like that's how I grew up on. If you are suspicious, maybe add it to a couple pierogi, set them aside, and add a little bit of a pinch of mint and see how that tastes for you. It's very refreshing, and I feel like we almost don't use enough mint, and it's again so good for us too. So either if you're making it with cheese, try it, or if you're making it with additional ingredients like I'm doing here with that buckwheat or your grits. A lot of cheesecakes, they even have grits. They make them go further that way, and you really can't even tell the difference, because the flavor of grits is so much milder than buckwheat here. So experiment with it. Let me know how you came up with your ingredients. And you see, if your ingredients are a little bit on the soft side, just put them in the refrigerator a little bit. That cheese will thicken up for you a little bit. I did that because I think my kasha wasn't completely even cooled off, and it made it softer. So yes, I'm skipping the part with the dough. And you see my dough is already rolled out here. nothing different than what we are doing. You don't have to do the dough with an egg, or if you do, then use an egg. I use about that 3.5 cups of flour here with really warm water, and just a little bit pinch of salt and oil. And we are back to filling our little circles that we cut it again with that glass or a cookie cutter, that it's about that 2-3 inches in diameter or so. Mine are close to 3 inches, and we are just making sure that the filling is nice and closed in that pierogi. I cannot stress that far enough out there, because you want to make sure that the filling does not open up for you. Add a little bit of flour on your hand to make sure that you can glue this very well. And I know I'm showing you again how to close this pierogi this way, but again, you don't have to. If you seal that rim very thoroughly without the filling getting going in between, because that's what's difficult later, to seal that pierogi very well. You don't have to make them with that little crown, I call it. And always, yes, set them on a well covered surface with flour. You want to dust, like I always tell you again, I found that having a cutting board, if it's big enough, you can lay out all your pierogis and bring all that cutting board to your boiling water. It does make things way easier to transport them. So you see, you can leave them just like that, or again, you can show off everybody your culinary skills and have some fun playing with food, I call it. Like I said, I think as a grown-up sometimes we just lose the enjoyment. So here's your little part that you can enjoy it. And yes, I have my pot cooking here. This is 4 quarts. I fill up about 3/4 in it, and I will be normally putting about a dozen pierogis or so, give or take 1 or 2. And they already look delicious, and they are not even cooked yet. So yes, they will be going in the water, and we just want to make sure at that point, once they are in the water again, to kind of watch them for that first couple minutes, because when you put them in the water, that's my always suggestion, I'll show you again, once the water is boiling, you want to make sure that you slightly dip that pierogi, but keep your fingers of course above the water and just let go. And we are putting them one at a time. We don't dump them all at once because the water will be splashing. And once they are all in it, just stir it from the bottom with a delicate utensil, and just keep doing that maybe 2-3 times at least, because they will be falling down on the bottom again. And you want to make sure that they don't get stuck together or to the bottom of it. And once they float up to the surface like this, they are ready pretty much to come out. You can wait that minute or so once the water starts boiling back again, and you take them out. And that's 1 dose of pierogis done. And there's, yes, more to go, and you will have that dough left over, so roll it back into the dough and keep on making pierogis, just like I advise you in the other videos. I'm just doing this as a little bit quicker version of it. Again, the pierogi with cheese and potatoes that I did, have the version of the dough being made on a flat surface, just like my board that I'm using here. And the pierogis with sauerkraut and meat that we did, I did the dough in a food processor, but you can do it in a mixer with the attachments for the dough. You can make it in your bread machine as well, and you have a nice fresh dough that you made yourself, and it's really not that difficult. You see, when I'm working with that dough, you can tell how nice and soft it is, how workable it is. It does not stick to you if you keep your hands slightly dabbed in that flour, and the same thing on the surface that you are working constantly. You want to make sure that you had enough flour to roll out that dough, and you have enough flour in something that where you are setting the pierogis. If you are making a whole bunch of pierogis at once and you are waiting longer time, I'll say again, cover them either with some kind of towel, like a kitchen towel, clean one of course, or saran wrap or something, because here in the air conditioning, like I said already in my other video, I noticed that the dough likes to get kind of dried up. And if you have dough that you are not working with, the same thing. You want to either keep it under some kind of mixing bowl that will cover the whole thing, or again cover it with some kind of kitchen towel or saran wrap again. And you see, we are keeping on making these wonderful pierogis like that. And here I'm just showing you that yes, you can leave them like this. The taste will be the same. You can fancy them up a little bit, maybe with the fork design like that that I keep seeing over here. Again, at home we always made them that way. That's how my grandma and my mom always taught me. That's how they were taught, and that's how my mom still makes them this way, with that nice cute little rim. and she makes the cheese ones as well, but lately a lot she's been making the sauerkraut one meat, she's been telling me, and they do come out beautiful. You can make them round, you can make them like these half moons looking pierogis, and when they are hot you can serve them like that, just ready with sour cream and a little bit of sugar or powdered sugar if you want to sprinkle on top of it, and they are delicious by themselves. But I always had a weakness for reheating them in either butter or something. Here I do it a lot coconut oil, but I did this one in a version that I think it's kind of probably the best. If you use a couple tablespoons of butter, unsalted, I always use here too, and 2-3 tablespoons of sour cream, and kind of get them combined together and put those pierogis in and see what happens. Oh my gosh, the consistency of that butter and sour cream on the outside of that pierogi, when they combine, and when that pierogi gets that nice color on one side, flip it of course on the other side to have that nice just that brown coloring, and like I said, that crust on that pierogi, it goes to a totally different level in that kind of combination, I say. And I'm telling you, if you haven't had that kind of pierogi, I highly recommend it. It's more of a cheesecake. And oh yeah, you have that kind of drippings out there if you want to go for those. They are like caramelized, but anyway, this kind of pierogi, like I said, it is my favorite. Subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I will be taking a little break from pierogi, but there will be more pierogis to go, because there is more to pierogi. So let me know what you think about this one. This is a little bit, I think, not as popular maybe type of pierogi. I think the potato and cheese, or even potatoes, which I really like the potato and cheese combination, not only the potato in them. It's more popular here. But this is something, like I said, that I always love to indulge with that cheese, because when my mom made the cheese, it was humongous. And buying those little packages of cheese over here, it really taught me appreciation on what I have grown up, how much cheese we had, because we had all those cows and we had all that milk, and she was able to make it. So for us, that was really quite common to eat that kind of pierogi, because we had a lot of cheese, and I call it perfect finger food. Who needs a fork? This is so delicious. Look at that filling, and I hope maybe you can send me a picture or two from YouTube. So thank you for watching, and yes, we will see you next time.